Assalamu alaikum, shalom, grüß Gott, bonjour, privet, dobar dan, namaste, and welcome to this video. In this one I will talk about the MARANTZ PM7000N and my experiences with it. Now, it is turned on. It doesn't flicker when I see it. It's just the recording. Now, as you can hear nothing coming from the tweeter, and that's a good sign. That is the reason I sold one of my previous amps. That was the Sonoro Maestro. I sold that because when I powered my speakers with that one, there was noise coming from my tweeters. So this one doesn't do that, and that's amazing. I want to talk about the sound, then about the app, and then about the sound again. So if you like detail, if you want to hear a lot of detail that is inside the recording, then this is a very good one. I think it, even though it is not the newest model, it is very detailed. It has obviously a good DAC implementation and so on and so forth. I mean, MARANTZ is very experienced. I have no doubt they know how to tune the amp, the network integrated amp, the way it sounds best. And in this case, it's really very, very good for oftentimes less than 1,000 euros. The soundstage is wide, so I know the soundstage width is something the speakers do, and you know what? The amp should do its thing too, and it does. So the soundstage is wider than these two speakers are apart, and I like that because the speakers disappear with this amp. Now, I think it makes it is something I experienced. It makes the speakers sound very full in the bottom end. I want to put it into perspective because I compared this amp to the to the Audiolab Omnia in my last video, and I think when I talk about gear, I always have to compare it to something you might know or you cross-shop. So the bass definition isn't as high as with the Audiolab 6000A Play nor the Omnia, but it has a very full bottom end, so it makes the speakers sound a bit bigger with this amp when it comes to the bass. Yeah, so if you want that, if you think your speaker should have or should sound a bit, I don't want to say boomier, because I just want to say more bass quantity. If you think your speakers need bass quantity, then you might like this one more than the both amps I mentioned from Audiolab. But when it comes to holographic imaging, the other tools are even a step above this amp here. Now, treble is sweet. I like that it is lively, obviously. I missed treble energy with some other amps and not with this one. This MARANTZ is really, really great in that regard. And if you want to know what this is just a thin layer of plastic. I guess they want to protect this part of the amp. So here is this layer. You could take this off so the top plate looks as it is, because it is made out of one piece. Now, I didn't take it off. I mean, obviously they know better than I do, and if there's something to be protected, then I will let it that way. In my comparison with the Audiolab Omnia, I said that the app of this one, the MARANTZ PM7000N, is much better than the DTS Play-Fi from Audiolab, or the app that Audiolab implements into their gear. Now, yes, that's true. I think HEOS is much better, much better than DTS Play-Fi, but there's one catch. And that is the implementation of the HEOS app into the iPhone. Look, when I use Tidal within the HEOS app, I can't start and stop the music within my control center of my iPhone. I can't do that. But when I use the DTS Play-Fi app with the Audiolab gear, then I can. So even though I said this amp is much better, or this the software of this one, the app of this one is much better, there is one thing I couldn't do. It's possible with Spotify, because there I use Spotify Connect with both apps. But when I use Tidal, I have to use the HEOS app and I have to use the DTS app. And the DTS app is connected to my control center of my iPhone, and this isn't. Now, please be aware, maybe you will watch this video a month after I recorded it and the problem will be solved by an update. Maybe it is the problem of iOS and not by this amp. But right now, at the beginning of 2023, it doesn't. And I have iOS 16.2 right now, so it's the current one. Now, that's it. There's one more thing. I couldn't manage to turn off the display within the app. So therefore I need the remote with, where is it? Can you see it? I'm looking through my display too. Dimmer, here it is. The left bottom corner, dimmer. Now I can, no, that's a Game Boy kind of display. And you know what? The new model, the 40N, has an even smaller display. And you know what? I like it. Because in my opinion, when I stream, I don't have to see the cover art and so on, because I see it on my phone. Or if you stream using your laptop or Mac, you can see it. And I always, when it's possible, I always turn off the display. I just want as less things going on in the amp as possible, other than the sound production. Now, yeah, back to the sound. I think if I didn't have any other amps, or if I had to keep this one, it would be absolutely fine. Now, talking about the sound and the user experience, I think the HEOS app is great, and I think the sound is great. It is fun to listen to and very detailed at the same time. What could a more expensive amp do? It could show me the space between instruments in an even darker way. So this is not crowded. I wouldn't say that it is very crowded. I had an amp before I didn't really like, so I sold it. But this one, it looks good in my opinion. To be honest, I don't know if this video recording shows how good this looks. This silver, bright goldish look. It looks so a bit royal, you know. I call it royal because it doesn't look that technical. It looks more like furniture for rich people, something like that. So I don't know how to describe it, but I think it looks very, very good. I like the color. There's this silver, light goldish thing. Yeah, bass, the mid-range is also full. It's colorful. It is transparent. As I said, you can hear a lot of details, and treble is lively and not sharp. And when I say it, I really mean it is not sharp at all. But I love the fact that this gives me treble information because I want to hear that. There is one song that is called Hideaway from Jacob Collier. And if you want to know what I mean, just listen to the first maybe 20 seconds of that song. I want to hear all these things. And with other amps, not with a lot of other amps, but with other amps, I don't get this sparkle. But I want to hear that. And this gives me this kind of sparkle. This sparkle at the beginning of Hideaway from Jacob Collier is even more refined, even more detailed, even more nuanced with the two amps I mentioned from Audiolab. So that's why I'm keeping the Omnia. I think that sounds amazing with these speakers, and I tested both amps with the Elac Vela and the UniFi reference by Elac 2. Both are quite different speakers, and the MARANTZ made both sound really, really good. Really, really good. Now, you know my word, I often use the word amazing. In this case, I don't use it just to keep that word for the Omnia. And I know the Omnia isn't the last word either. So I have no idea how good these Elac Vela can sound when paired with an even better amp. But for now, my choice is the Audiolab Omnia. And if I had to keep this one, I would be totally happy too, because it sounds really, really good, and the user experience of the app is quite good. It is not at the Blue Sound level, but it is good. Now, Elac Discovery has, or Elac has also software which is better. There are some, as far as I know, Blue Sound. I like Blue Sound a lot. That is very, very advanced. Then Elac with its tiny amp, the DSA101, that is also more advanced than HEOS. But HEOS is almost there. So maybe with the next few updates, it will be up there and get all the functions. And after listening to this one, I am really curious how the Model 40 or the Model 30 sounds. And I know the Model 30 is not a Class AB amp, so I would love to hear the Model 40N after this one, but I will keep my Audiolab Omnia because obviously I like that sound, and I made the mistake to sell the 6000A Play, and then I upgraded to the Omnia, and that is my next keeper. So if you have any questions, for example, what about soundstage depth? I think this gives me soundstage depth, but the Omnia and also the 6000A Play are a little bit, how can I say it? They are a little bit more three-dimensional than this one, even though this gives me a lot of detail. So if you want detail, if you want bass, if you want a full sound, lively, and still balanced, still not this V curve, so you get the mid-range as you want. And what can I say more? I mean, this is really very fair priced for such an amount of sound quality.